Nobot, the Robot with No Bottom by Sue Hendra and Paul Lynette. Bernard, the robot, loved to play at the park. Whee! He swung high, 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 up into the sky. Soon it was time to go. Bernard jumped off the swing and headed home. He'd only walked a little way when, "My bottom!" cried Bernard. "It's disappeared. Where can it be?" Bernard went back to the park to look, but he couldn't see his bottom anywhere. "Excuse me, Monkey," he said. "Have you seen my bottom?" Said Monkey. "I think I might have. Bird is using it. Come and see." "Hello, Bird," said Monkey. "Have you still got Bernard's bottom?" "Oops, Bernard, was that your bottom?" said Bird. "It was too heavy to be a nest, so I gave it to Bear to use in his drum kit. Let's go and get it back." "Excuse me, Bear, have you been drumming on my bottom?" asked Bernard. "Oops, Bernard, was that your bottom?" said Bear. "It made a funny noise, so I couldn't use it. I don't know where it is now." "Oh," said Bernard. "Don't worry, your bottom's got to be somewhere," his friend said kindly. "Look, there it is," said Monkey. "That's just Gary's hat," said Bernard. "There?" said Bird. "That's just Edward's shopping basket," said Bernard. "Isn't that it?" said Bear. "No, that's just Dog's window box." Bernard was sad. "I'll never get my bottom back," he said. "Come and sit down," said his friends, "and we'll have a think where to look next." "I can't sit down," said Bernard. "I haven't got a bottom. I'm not a robot. I'm a no-bot." And he walked away to carry on looking. After a while he arrived at the beach. He looked out to sea and saw something very familiar. There it was. "Come back," he shouted. "Come back here. You've got my bottom." But the rabbits couldn't hear him. Bernard jumped and waved, but it was no good. Then, as he turned away, he spotted a strange-shaped sandcastle. He had found his bottom. Bernard was so happy to have his bottom back that he did a wiggling, jiggling dance, and so did all of his friends. And Bernard never lost his bottom again. Hi. So today we are going to have a look at something really complicated that I know you will be amazing at. We are going to have a look at apostrophes for possession. There were a lot of big words in that sentence, weren't there? Okay. Possession, it's mine. It's my necklace. It's my earrings. It's my hair. It's my pen. So possession is meaning belonging. And then apostrophes are a little bit of punctuation. We may have come across them before. Apostrophes can be used in contractions. So in the word can't, we have an apostrophe just here, look, in between can, not. We have an apostrophe there. And in that case, the apostrophe shows the letters that are missing within that word, within that contraction. But today we are going to use the same punctuation, but for a different purpose. So here's our bit of punctuation, look. Just a little curved line and it sits high. And what we are going to use it for today is the idea of possession. So if I say they are, let's use these, they are Becca's earrings. So they are, and then, so they are Becca's earrings, and then look, they belong to Becca. So Becca, and what we're going to do is put the apostrophe in there, look. So because they belong to Becca, Becca comes first, then the apostrophe, and then the S afterwards. So I read the story Nobot this week. Great story, only a little story, and it's very silly and very funny. So if you haven't watched it, go and give it a watch. But it was all about Nobot's bottom. So if we are talking about Nobot's bottom, Nobot's, it belongs to Nobot. So the apostrophe is going to come in between the T and the S. Nobot's bottom, because it belongs to Nobot. It's not always that straightforward, but let's have a go at doing some of these where it is that straightforward to practice first. So let's have a go at elephant's trunk. Can you do that? If you don't have something to write with and something to write on, I would go and get something for this one because it will be really useful to practice physically writing them down. Okay, elephant's trunk. So elephant, then the apostrophe, remember up high and curly, and then an S. Elephant's trunk. We don't need any punctuation because we're not actually writing a sentence. We are just writing, it's just a thing, isn't it? Elephant's trunk. Brilliant. Monkey's tail. So monkey, apostrophe S, tail. Monkey's tail. Okay, the animal's boat is harder because this one already ends in an S. Because animals is plural. What we don't do is put it here because it didn't belong to animal, it belonged to animals. So the word animals stays the same and we just put the apostrophe at the end. So if the word that is possessive, that owns the thing, ends in an S, then the apostrophe goes after the S. Okay, so fox's dinner. Fox's, fox. Yeah, fox's dinner. So it's fox, it belongs to fox. Not as it sounds necessarily, but it belongs to fox, so it's fox's dinner. Okay, let's see if we can embed that within a sentence then. So the animals looked for Nobot's bottom. So capital letter for the T for the, and then animals is just a plural and there's no possession. Nothing belongs to those animals in the sentence. So the animals looked for Nobot's bottom and it's the bottom belonging to Nobot. So it's Nobot that needs the apostrophe in because the bottom belongs to Nobot. The animals looked for Nobot's bottom. So the really important way to think about it when we're writing a sentence is, does that belong to them? And if it does, then that is probably where we need that possessive apostrophe. So Nobot took the children's sandcastle. So Nobot, capital letters, beginning of name and beginning of a sentence. Nobot took the children's sandcastle. Oh, the sandcastle belonged to somebody. Who did it belong to in that sentence? Exactly, it belonged to the children. So children, apostrophe S, because it belonged to the children. We just say children's when we're saying it. Nobot took the children's sandcastle. So your sentence should look a little bit like this. Nobot took the children, apostrophe S, sandcastle. Because the sandcastle belonged to the children. What about if we were saying, come on Bear's boat? What is the thing that belongs in that? Yeah, the boat, brilliant. And who does the boat belong to? Come on Bear's boat. It belongs to Bear. Okay, so come on Bear, it belongs to Bear, not bears. So Bear, apostrophe S, boat. Come on Bear's boat. So our sentence should look a bit like that. Come on Bear's boat, because it belongs to Bear, not bears. Bears, if I wrote that, bears written like this is a plural. That just means lots of them. I wouldn't need an apostrophe to show plural. I use the apostrophe to show possession. Okay, right. So let's have a look at this. What about this? It's a little bit far out. It should be a bit closer, really. There we go. What would that mean? Yeah, it would mean that the boat belonged to the bears. It belonged to lots of them. So you can use it at the end of a plural. If something belongs to more than one, then we can use it at the end of the plural, even if the plural ends in an S, but we don't put another S afterwards. So, for example, if we have this, the boat's sails, where would the apostrophe need to go in that? It's the sails that belong. What do they belong to? Right, if they belong to one boat, then they need to go in there. Yeah? So the boat's sails, the apostrophe goes in there. And we don't have to leave tons of room for it. It just has like almost like a micro finger space in between it. But it does need to be there and it does need to be clear. Okay? You're doing a really good job with this. This is really tricky. Right, what about then if we have this? Miss Ross's class. What do we do here? Do we need another S? No, because it ends in S, well done. But we do need an apostrophe after that. Miss Ross's class. And so this would read Ross's because of the apostrophe that's there. So sometimes the punctuation tells us how to read something as well as the letters that are there. So Miss Ross's class. Okay, let's have a go at writing a sentence together then and see if we can put the possessive apostrophes in the right place. I'm not going to say anything about where I think they should go until afterwards, and then you can show me, okay? So, the bear's boat was not Nobot's bottom. Ooh, the bear's boat was not... Oh, I missed a word out. The bear's boat was not Nobot's bottom. The bear's boat was not Nobot's bottom. Can you think of a place in that might need a possessive apostrophe? Maybe you can think of more than one. I'll give you a minute. The bear's boat was not Nobot's bottom. Shall we have a look? Right, the bear's boat, so the boat belonged to bear, possessive apostrophe there, was not Nobot's bottom. The bottom belonged to Nobot. So, one thing that we have to be really, really careful with, and people get this wrong all the time, and when I say people, I mean adults, is that we don't use a possessive apostrophe. We don't use it for plurals, and we don't just use it all of the time. So if we were talking about boats, for example, like we just were, then we don't need this. We don't need this, sorry. We also don't need this. If we were talking about lights, we don't need this. If we were talking about phones, we don't need this. So a possessive apostrophe is used for just that. It is used to show possession. It is used to show that something belongs to them. It is not used for plurals. I'm going to give you an example and we'll see whether you can fix my mistakes in my sentence, okay? Okay. Oh, first and foremost, a sentence, which is what this is, should always start with a capital letter. Okay, the children's sandcastles were Nobot's bottom. So there are two things here. We've got the bottom and we've got the sandcastles. Should we start with the sandcastles? Right, they belong to the children. They don't belong to the children's. Well done. So children is the plural. So the children's sandcastles were Nobot's bottom. Was he called Nobots? Right, exactly. He was not called Nobots. He was called Nobot. So it's Nobot apostrophe S. The children's sandcastles were Nobot's bottom. So Nobot apostrophe S, monkey apostrophe S. If it's that one thing that it belongs to, then it's apostrophe S, even though it sounds like the S should come on the end. If the word ends in an S, then the apostrophe comes after it. And we don't use them just for plurals. They're used to show, I own that, okay? Practice, it's tricky, but you've done an incredible job today. Whatever you do the rest of your day, have a brilliant one. Bye-bye. Hi, so today we are going to be looking at the clock again. We are going to be looking at telling the time to the o'clock section. So from past up to the top of the clock. So let's go build the clock and we'll have a chat about it there. Okay, so let's start by building the clock. So 12 is the one that goes at the very top. This is our o'clock times. And then we have 1, 2, 3, that's a quarter of the way round the clock now. 4, 5 and 6, and then we are halfway round the clock at this point. And from here we do our past times. So each of these sections is worth 5 minutes on the clock. And so if we start at o'clock, then we would have 5 past, 10 past. This is quarter of the way around the clock, so it's quarter past, although it is also 15 minutes past, but we would call this quarter past. So 5 past, 10 past, quarter past, 20 past, 25 past, and then this is halfway around the clock, so this is half past. So here we have the clock built all the way from o'clock to half past. And in terms of what this would look like if we had the hands in the clock, then it would be the big hand, the fast one that goes all the way round in 1 hour. That would be the one that shows us the minutes, and the little one would be the one that shows us the hour. So here this would be o'clock, here this would be 5 past, 10 past, quarter past, 20 past, 25 past and half past, and this hour hand would point to the hour. So if we were here, then it would be 3:30, because it's always the one that it's gone past. So all of these ones so far are past times, and the ones that we're going to build with today are the to section of the clock. So we have to be able to count up to 25 in fives, because this is half past, and then we have to be able to count backwards in fives as well, because that's what we're going to use. So we were at 30, so this is 25, 20, 15, or it's opposite, the quarter past, so this is actually quarter to, and then 10 and 5. So the numbers on the clock just go all the way around consecutively, so from 1 through to 12 at the top of the clock. But in terms of counting what that actually means when we talk about time, we have 5 past, 10 past, quarter past, 20 past, 25 past, half past, and then this side of the clock, which is the side of the clock that we're going to focus on today, is the to section of the clock. So we just need to be able to replicate what was opposite. So we're counting backwards, so 25, 20, 15, but it's a quarter, so we generally say quarter to, this one's quarter past here, 10 to, 5 to, and then up here is o'clock again. So in terms of, if we put the hands in and we have them pointing here and here, then this would be 25 to 5, because when we're talking about the 2 times, it's the one, the hour that the little hand is nearly at. So it will nearly have made its way to 5 o'clock. And when it does, obviously it will be smack bang in the middle of that number. So it's the one that it is going towards. So the same with this, it will be very nearly there, and it will be 20 to 5 in this case. So if we move the hour hand up here, then it would be quarter to 3, because it's nearly 3 o'clock. I'll show you better on the little clock, but in terms of remembering the numbers, we've got o'clock and half past that are opposite each other, quarter past and quarter to are opposite each other, and then 5, 10, 20, 25, and then back up 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0. But we use o'clock instead of 0, half past instead of 30, and quarter past instead of 3, quarter to instead of 9. Let's go and have a look at it on the little clock and I will show you in a bit more detail. Okay, so we had a really good look at building the clock today, and we managed to work out that the numbers from 12, which is at the top of our clock, through to 6, so round this way, these are all the numbers that are past the hour, and then it's these ones up that are 2 times, which are the ones that we are going to focus on today. So we know that if it is an o'clock time, the big hand will be pointing directly at the 12, and the little hand, the hour hand, will be pointing directly at the number, directly at the hour. This is because this hand goes around the clock very, very slowly. It will only go around the clock in its entirety twice in a day, because it moves from section to section within an hour. So it takes 12 hours for the little hand to go all the way around the clock. Whereas this big hand, the minute hand, goes much faster around the clock. This goes around the clock once every hour. So in a day, it would go around, or in a day and night, it would go around the clock 24 times, because there are 2 full rotations of a clock. Now, a lot of those hours we are asleep, but they still happen. So o'clock points to the top, and the hour hand points at the hour, directly at the number. And then the minute hand will move around the clock, and when it is at quarter past, it will be just past, it'll be at this line here, look, it will be just past the hour that it's been past. So this here is 1:15. And then if we were to move it on further for half past, then at half past, it will be exactly halfway between the hour that we say and the next hour. And we know which one it is when we're doing half past, and it's the same with all of these ones that have come before, because it's the hour it's gone past. Okay, so it's the one it's already gone past. So here, look, it's between 1 and 2, but it can't have gone past 2 to get to 1 because the numbers go in consecutive order. So it's 1:30. It's on its way to being 2 o'clock. And that's the same for all of these. 5 past, 10 past. It is technically 15 minutes past, although we would say quarter past, 20 past, 25 past, and then half past down here, or 30 minutes past. It is 30 minutes past the hour. We just generally would say that that's half past. But then when we start to come up the other side, that's when it starts to change. So we stop being past and we start being 2. So 25 to, 22, 15 minutes to, or quarter to, 10 to, 5 to, and then o'clock is back at the top. That's neither past nor 2. So the only ones we really have to worry about are 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. And if we remember that this one is quarter to, then in actual fact we only have 25 past, 25 to, 22, 10 to and 5 to contend with. Now, when we're looking at the hands here, obviously the minute hand is pointing at the 9, so it's quarter to. And then here, when we're reading it off, the bit that we have to be aware of is that we're not looking where it's gone, we're looking where it's going to, yeah? It's to the hour, it's going to it. So this is quarter to 2. It's nearly at 2 o'clock. It's quarter to 2. Or if I change it to be this one there, we're at quarter to, and it's nearly at 5 o'clock. It's not quite, because it's not quite in the middle, but it's nearly there. And that's the same with all of these other ones. We're looking for where it's going to. So we've got 10 to 5. We're nearly at 5 o'clock. That one's really handy because it is exactly what it says on the tin. It is a 10. And use that to help us to remember. But this one, look, would be 5 to 7. It's very nearly 7 o'clock. It's only 5 minutes to go until. So if we were looking at this one, it would be a bit close around there. This would be 20 to 7. It's nearly at 7 o'clock. So if it's a past time, then the hour hand is where it's gone past. And if it's a to time, then it's the hour that it's going to. It is a little bit complicated. However, we can do tricky things. Let's have a go at, we can draw it on a clock face, or we can, if we made one, then we could use that to help us. But if not, then we can draw it on a clock face. All we have to do is to draw a big circle, and then if we label mine's a bit of a funny shaped circle, but if we label the 12, 6, 3 and 9, o'clock, half past, quarter past, quarter to, and then we can fit the other 2 numbers in between each one relatively easily. In terms of spacing, we will know that they are better spaced than if we would have just started with 1 and worked all of our way around. So if you're drawing a clock, you will have a clock that looks like this. And if you have the capability, so you could draw it in, if you're drawing on paper, you could draw in pen, and then you could do the hands in pencil, because then you could rub the hands out, but the clock would stay the same. You don't have to put as much effort in every time. That would be smart. But let's have a go at drawing the hands on the clock. So if you need to draw one, then pause and draw it. And let's see if we can make our clocks say 22, 3. So 22, remember where that will be. That's the long hand that goes there, the minute hand. 22, 3. So it will nearly be 3 o'clock. And make sure that you don't make the mistake that I just made, where I went too far with the little hand, just rubbed it out and made it shorter. There we go, look, 22, and it's gone past the 2. It's nearly at 3 o'clock. 22, 3. And if we're not sure, remember, this is 30 and we count back in 5s. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0. And of course, the other way that we can do that, if we're not confident in counting backwards in 5s, we can actually get there by starting here. So up here, point 12, so the very top of your clock is o'clock, but it's also 0. And then we can come back down this way, look, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then this is always 30, this is always half past. You just have to remember that depending on which side it is that we're coming down, if it's the side that starts at 11, if we're coming backwards, then these are 2, and if we're coming forwards, then these are past the hour. And if we can count backwards, then it's most logical to start here and to count backwards, but in actual fact, we can do it either way round. Okay, let's have a go at 1 or 2 more together. So let's have a go at putting the hands on the clock to show 10 to 3. 10 to 3. So remember, it's that big hand that will point at the 2, the minutes 2, and then the little hand will point to the hour. And if it's 2, then it's nearly at the hour. Here we go, look. 10 to 3, very nearly 3 o'clock. Nice. Okay, what about 25 to 7? It's really mean. You'll see why when you do it. 25 to 7. Yeah, I was clearly drawn to the number 7 that time. Both of them are very, very nearly pointing at the same number. The hour hand is just shy of it because it's not quite there yet. So 25 to 7. I think you did a really super job today. It was a bit tricky, but there are just those few things to remember. You need to be able to count in 5s up to 30. And if you can count backwards in 5s, then that does make life a little bit easier. 12, o'clock to the top, half past to the bottom, number 6. And then you've got your quarter past and quarter to, which are your 3 and your 9. All the other ones are just counting in 5s. Each section is worth 5 minutes. Just practice. Just look at what the time is on the clock. If it's in between, if the big hand, the minute hand is in between numbers, then you can go either way or the other for estimation purposes, and you can use that to help you. But you've done an incredible job. Well done. Whatever you do the rest of your day, have a great one. Bye bye. Hi. So today we are going to have a look at magnet. What on earth do I mean by that? Do you know? Do you have any experience of magnet? Maybe you have a magnet from somewhere that you've been on holiday. Maybe you collected a magnet that lives on your fridge. Maybe not. Maybe you have some special letters that stick to things. These are magnetic letters too. I have a few different types of magnet. So I have my magnet that I got off my fridge. I have a couple of magnetic letters, and then I have some toys that have magnets in them too. Now technically magnets are pieces of metal, usually iron or steel, that are able to attract other metals. Okay, so they're able to attract other metals. So if I use this one, I know this one to be relatively strong. I've got my spoon here, which is metal. Can you see what happens? They stick together. Now the fancy word for that when we are talking about magnetism is that they attract. Okay, so if the things stick together, then they attract. Not all things do attract, so we'll talk about that in a little minute, but these things do. I wonder if you know that you have a magnet somewhere in your house. Why don't you go and get it and see what things you can get it to stick to, and then come back and we'll have a little talk about what you found out. If you don't, maybe you can use your imagination and you can try to think what it will stick to based on what you know. What did you find out? Okay, so my magnet sticks to my spoons, and it will also stick to my knives and my forks and everything else. The only reason that it falls off is just because the spoon is so heavy. So if I were to use something smaller, then it wouldn't. I have a couple of other things here that I reckon it will stick to. Oh yeah. Here you go, look, here's a perfect example of something a little bit smaller and it actually sticks to it and holds it up. So my keys were metal and my keys stick to my magnet. They fall off if I shake it. I have a paper clip. What was that word? They attract. Brilliant, well done. They attract. Did you know that if I rub these two things together, then my paperclip will become a temporary magnet? So if my magnet is strong enough, if I rub my paperclip onto the magnet, then it just does it ever so slightly. I don't know that you would even necessarily see it, and it certainly wouldn't pick it up because the paperclip is too small. But so we can have a temporary magnet, we can create a magnet. Then we have a permanent magnet, like this one, like the ones in my toys that I'll show you in a minute, and like the ones in my letters. So we have permanent magnets, we have temporary magnets, and then we have electromagnet. Now, an electromagnet, let me show you a little diagram. An electromagnet is used when you have electricity passes through a coil with a metal core. So the coil is the spiral of metal, and then it has to have a metal core. So in this picture here, this is a nail inside it, but it could just be that it was a metal cylinder inside, and that creates a magnetic field as well. So the area around our magnet, remember that our magnet will attract, and the area around it, so if I hold them really far apart, then they don't stick together, but the closer that I get them, there you can see that they start to. So the area surrounding my magnet, which makes it attract, is called the magnetic field. Now, magnets don't always attract. So if I have a train here. I love learning through play. Now I can attach these and you'll see, look, they're there and they're a little bit loose. And then if I get them close enough together, then they will attract, they will stick together. And then if I wanted to put my train over the ramp, then the front one would hold on to the back one as they go up and over. I could do this with a whole string of trains. So look, I have these two trains that are stuck together here, but I also have another carriage here. So I could put this one on the end, and I can have a really big long train of carriages that are all stuck together, and then when they go up and over that hill, they will all go up and over that hill together. Now, if they come across bumps and difficulties like that along the way, then they may well have an issue, and they might well fall apart like they did, like the keys fell off earlier when I was shaking them. But generally, they'll stick together. I could have a big long line and they will stick together and they will go along. But did you notice that when I was trying to put these together, I had to turn this around? Now, a magnet generally has two ends, or it has there are two types. So there's the North Pole and the South Pole, the opposite ends of a magnet. Now, on my train, I have a North Pole and a South Pole, but on some of my trains, like on the very front carriage, on the engine carriage, I only have one. Now, this will, did you see? They won't go together. There is nothing that I can do that will make those two go together because they are the same. So if this is a North Pole, this is a North Pole, which means that that end there is a South Pole. So if I turn it around, opposites attract. That's where that saying comes from. So if it's opposites, then they will stick together, they will attract. But if it is the same, then they will repel. So there's a North Pole and a South Pole on a magnet. The same type, same ends will repel each other, they will push each other away, and the opposite ends will attract to each other. They will stick together. How interesting. Let's do a tiny recap and we'll do some learning along the way. How many types of magnet are there? Can you remember? There are 3, well done. So we talked about temporary magnets, we talked about permanent magnets. So we talked about the magnets that we can create by rubbing a magnet against, by rubbing a metal surface against a magnet, and then temporarily it will have a magnetic field. We talked about the permanent magnets, so the magnets in my toy, which will attract if I get them the right way around, and then when I push them up and over that hill, they will hold together. And then there was one more type of magnet, and that type of magnet was an electromagnet. Do you remember how I said that it worked? Oh my goodness, you're amazing. Yes, it was an electric current, it was electricity pushed through a metal coil with a metal core. Well done. That was super tricky. Those types of magnets are used in lots of different things. Electromagnets might be used for a big industrial grabber at a recycling plant, where the magnetic plate needs to be switched on to pick up and attract the metal from a pile of rubbish. So of course it will only attract the metal that will be pulled towards the magnetic field, but then it needs to be switched off so that rubbish can be dumped somewhere. Otherwise it's going to be stuck to that magnet for a really long time, because obviously it's a big magnet, big surface, big metal. It's going to be a strong attraction. It's going to be stuck really quite well. So that's one use. But did you know that they're also used in things like speakers and TVs and scanning machines at the hospital? Electromagnets are really useful. They're used all around us. They're really great for technology. They're used in engines. What was the area surrounding the magnet called? Do you remember when I held my keys, I said that if I got within the magnetic field, well done, if I got within the magnetic field, then the keys would stick to my magnet and the other way around. What was it called when they stuck together? Well done. They attracted towards each other. And why did they do that? You're amazing. They did that because it's opposites attract. And if I have, there's my opposites attracting. If I put them the other way round, will they stick together? No, because they are the same end of a magnet. The two ends of a magnet are called what? The North Pole and the South Pole. Well done, you are incredible. And let me let you into a little secret, which will explain how a compass works. The Earth has its own magnetic field. So deep inside the Earth is made of magnetic material, it's made of metals, and that creates a magnetic field around the Earth. So when we have a compass, the arrow on a compass will always point to the direction that we're stood in. So we can use that, we can turn around, and we can use the compass to help us find north, so that we can walk in that direction, so that we can help to find our way. It's a great way of navigation. And long before technology assisted any of that, it's exactly how we did used to get around. We did used to use a compass an awful lot more. And that's how it works. It's on a really basic level, but it is to do with the magnetic field that the Earth provides. How clever is that? I think that we have answered all of the questions that I had today. I think that you have done some great learning, but I think that there's lots more learning to do. Maybe you might have some little trains, or I love this little example of this. So there's a little car here that goes on the road next to the trains, and it has a little caravan. And so the caravan will attach onto the back of the car. Now, obviously, this is only a tiny magnet on the back of the car, so it does have to be relatively flat, but it will pull it along. I wonder, do you think we could get a train to pull the caravan? We should be able to. What will we need? Yeah, we'll need the right end. There we go, look, so we could have a caravan on our train track, as long as the magnet is the right way round. So you might play with some magnetic toys that you have. You might go and explore and see where you can see magnets. You might go and ask and go and do a bit more investigating about where those electromagnets are used. I think that would be a really interesting thing to investigate a little bit more. But whatever you do with the rest of your day, have a brilliant one. Bye-bye.
Hello, Angel students. Today I want us to talk about believing with care. Have you ever heard the saying, don't believe everything you think? We are going to understand why it is important for us to question our own thoughts sometimes, understand the emotions that come with that, and not take everything personal. In other words, not take everything to heart. We're going to learn how to become mindful of those things that we believe, because we trust ourselves enough to do so, because we have developed a healthy way to have trust in our beliefs. We will learn how to be mindful and develop a healthy approach to our beliefs. So I want to start by asking you a question, and that is, what do you believe not believing everything you think means? What does that mean to you? What comes to mind when I ask you that? So if I said to you, don't believe everything you think, you shouldn't necessarily believe everything you think. When I say that, what do you believe that means? What does that mean to you? And while you have a think about that, I would also like you to have a think about any moment in time that you can recall when you thought something. You were absolutely sure of it because that's what you thought and that's what you believed. Only to realise later on down the line that that actually wasn't correct. It was not accurate. That's not what happened or how it went or what was said. Is there anything that you can think of where you think to yourself, I did think that, but maybe I shouldn't have believed it? I'll share with you what not believing everything you think means to me. So for me, it's something which is very natural. Unfortunately, we are humans and our brains are wired that way. And in a moment, I'm going to break that down and explain it to you even more. But if I were to explain what that means to me, it would be sometimes we have thoughts that are not necessarily our own. It could be a thought that comes back to you about something someone has said to you, but it's something you're thinking. It's something you heard. It's something you have remembered and your brain has decided to replay it. But it could have been something that simply isn't accurate. You may have been working on something. We've spoken on this channel many times about working on projects or trying something new. And at first, you may not be the best at it. That's just how it goes when you're learning something new or you're trying something new. And the goal is to better yourself. The goal is to improve. The goal is to do the best that you can. But when you reach a hurdle or an obstacle, or you get to something that's quite challenging, instead of quitting at that point and decided I failed, we remember here on this channel, Angel Students, that there is no such thing as failure. There is only an opportunity to learn, redo and improve. So if you sit in a moment of thinking, oh my, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this done, I don't think I can complete this, I'm an absolute failure, I have just failed, I've set myself up to fail. I started something and I just can't finish it. That's your mind running. Those are thoughts. That's what you're thinking, and they are not something you should believe. Definitely not those thoughts. So this is what it means, in my opinion, to not believe everything you think, because sometimes you may be in a position or an emotional state of being that isn't serving you very well. And we've also talked about how you can practice to become more balanced and centered and back into the present moment. Some of that being breath work, meditation and affirmations. So whenever you feel like you're overwhelmed with thoughts, you're thinking all sorts and can't quite sort them out and calm them down, remember some of those techniques that we've used previously just to help you to do that. And do not believe everything you think, but get to a point of so much trust in yourself that you know how to reel that in. So our minds are like little storytellers. There's always something going on in there. There's always some kind of dialogue going on in there. There's always something that you're thinking. There's always something that comes to mind or something that you suddenly remember. And this could happen for many different reasons. It could be something that you smell or somewhere that you go. Or have you had those moments where it feels like you'd been here before or you'd experienced this before? Many call that deja vu, but all of those types of things which tickle your senses can remind you of all sorts, and then it can get the brain going. You can even smell something that catapults you to a moment in time that brings up memories. But that is what our brains are wired to do: chatter. And this is why it's important for me to emphasize that not every thought is true. Sometimes our mind really can play tricks on us. So I have a few questions to help you to decide whether it's a thought that you want to trust or even entertain. So when you're having thoughts and you're just not sure about why you're having certain thoughts, or you feel uncomfortable with these thoughts, first ask yourself, is this thought helpful or kind? Is it either? Is it helpful? Does it help me in some kind of way? Is it helping me to find an answer, a solution, figure something out? And is it helpful in any kind of way? And the next part of that question would be, is there any evidence to support what it is I'm thinking right now? Because sometimes we have thoughts about how other people see us and what they think about us, and we will come up with our own entire story, because remember, the brain is a storyteller. The mind likes to tell us stories and give us thoughts and feed us information, whether it's true or not. And it is for you to decide, is that accurate? Is that helpful? Is that thoughtful? Is there any evidence to support this? Sometimes It's completely made up. And this is where it is very important to observe your thoughts and know whether they are positive self-talk or not positive self-talk. How are you talking to yourself? How it makes you feel is a very big indicator as to whether that is a thought that you want to continue thinking because you have evidence to back it up. It is helpful and it's a kind thought. If it's none of those, that is not the type of self-talk that you want to engage in. And this is where it comes in handy to have your affirmation, so that if you ever get stuck in a moment of just too much chatter going on, you can go to one particular affirmation or phrase that just brings you back to center, calms the mind down, and something that you trust, so that when it comes to what you believe, you trust in what you're hearing and that phrase or that affirmation that is your go-to, which can get rid of all that, the rest of that chatter. Emotions influence our thoughts. When we're feeling good and we're feeling great, we often want more of that feeling. So we think good things in general. If we're out with friends or if we're trying something new, it could even be a new food or a new drink that you've never tried before. You often just think, oh, I want to feel this again. This is really nice. This is tickling the senses, taste, sight, hearing, all of that kind of thing. And so you often just naturally think good thoughts because you're enjoying the moment. You're in the present moment fully because you are having a great time. So when we have emotions that are, we could be frustrated, we could be irritated, we could be tired, we also have to pay very close attention to what we're thinking because of how we are feeling. They are very, very, very closely connected. Mind and body are very closely connected. They are one. So whenever you're feeling something, it's going to trigger your thought, just like your thoughts can trigger how you feel. They play a part in a cycle. You don't get one without the other. So what is important here is if you are not feeling how you would like to feel, decide how you would like to feel. Decide how you can feel that way. The main thing is to understand the feelings that we are feeling. Know where it's coming from. Why am I feeling this way? And therefore you can understand the thoughts you are having. And if you can understand why you are feeling a certain way and you have the ability to change it, then you're likely to change how you're thinking. And at the same time, if you have the ability to shift how you're thinking and go to some of our practices and the tools that you have been given, you then may in turn be able to change how you are feeling. So remember, emotions are just energy in motion. It's just energy that needs somewhere to go, that is trying to do something with itself to release. The important thing when you are feeling a lot of emotion or overwhelm of emotion is to talk about it. Talk to whomever you trust enough to open up to and explain to them how you are feeling. And if you feel like there isn't anybody that you particularly want to talk to or that you have to talk to at this time, I would encourage you to journal it, write it down, get it out. It's always important to get it out. It is something that you should not ever feel ashamed of. It is something that you should be proud of. If you didn't have or show emotions, I think that would be more worrying. So whenever you're feeling like there's just too much going on, talk to somebody or write it down in your journal, but don't keep it in. Learn that your emotions are very, very natural. Very natural. We all experience emotions. So just find a healthy way to get them out so that they don't consume you and that you are not stuck in overthinking based on how you are feeling. If you're ever in doubt about some of the things that you are thinking and you're just not sure, remember the questions at the beginning. Is it helpful? Do you have evidence to back it up? And is it kind? Now, you also have the option to ask questions. Always ask questions. We like it when you think for yourselves. We love it when you think for yourselves. So if you just think to yourself, I really don't actually have to sit here thinking about this, going over and over and over the same thing. I could just ask, If that is a possibility, feel free to ask. When you have clarification, when you are sure, you have no need to constantly think and think and think and think, because you will have the answer that you are looking for. So long as you know you are getting it from a trusted source and that you are asking the right person the right questions, be confident. Know exactly what it is that you want, and then you go for it, so that you can get the answers that you need to put your mind at ease. So before I bring today's lesson to a close, because we're going to have this lesson in 2 parts. Remember, I also spoke about not taking things so personal and to heart. We're going to come back to that in the next lesson. But before I go, I want to give you a task to do, which is going to require a pen and paper. I have some questions that I'm going to ask you, and you are going to finish the questions. So this is a lot to do with self-awareness. So the first step will be, what behavior or pattern do you want to change? So what is something that you think about that you would like to change, or just stop thinking about if you had the pleasure in doing so? Write your answer down. And then I want you to come up with a couple of affirmations or statements that will help you to achieve this. Don't overthink it. Just let it flow naturally. Just write 2 or 3 that feel good to you in the moment. And the last part of the exercise is, I want you to write how you will be able to practice these methods. How will you practice these behaviors in daily life going forward? Simple answer to the last one, for example, could be that you are going to practice affirming yourself and reminding yourself of your own value. So, Angel students, practice this for a week and let's see what results you get next week for part 2. It's been a pleasure and thank you for joining me. Bye-bye, Angel students.
Hey everyone. Today we're going to practice a little bit of forms, foundation. Start with the breathing exercise. Inhale, hands up. Hands reach out far as you can. And exhale. Relax your shoulders, elbow. Hands push all the way down. One more time. Breathing in through your nose. And breathing out through your nose. Okay, let's do a quick exercise for the joints. Comfort point. Heel up. Raised. And ankles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands on your knee, exercise your knee joints. Help your knee circulation. 1. Put down much as you can. 2. 3. Change. 1, 2, 3. Change. 1, 2, 3. And warm up your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your elbow up. Hands reach out far as you can. Open up your lungs. Hold the lung function. 1, 2, 3, 4, hands higher, one hands lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. So this one's one up, one down. Good for your stomach and spleen function. Slightly bend your knees. Pull your elbow look back. 1, breathing out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slightly bend your knee. Relax your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Shoulders down, head up. Neck. 1, slowly. Shoulders down, head up. Do you feel your neck muscle stretching? Change. Okay. Rolling your shoulders full circle. 1. Feel the movement. 2, 3. Change. 1, 2, 3. Relax your back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we're going to practice one Kung Fu stance first. And we're going to work on the routine. Start with 3 foot point. 1, 2, 3. And keep your elbow along with your knee on top of your knee. Push your knee up. Breathing in, look forward. And breathing out, turn your body. 1. Breathing in, look forward. Breathing out, turn your body. Breathing in through your nose. And breathing out through your nose. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Good. When you practice by yourself, you can do a little bit longer and breathing slowly. We do slightly a little bit quicker. This is a marble. Next one, Gongbu. Early both leg bend. This leg, this time, front leg bend, back leg straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I practice first Kung Fu movement. Bend your knees, marble and chant Gongbu. Marble, chant Gongbu. First one, right hand block and left hand punch. Then left hand block, outside, right hand punch. Let's do 10 times. 1, punch, back leg, push the floor, and breathing out. Marble. When you change, relax your hips and punch. Up. 1. Breathing out. 2. 3. 4. Relax. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Okay. Inhale and exhale. Sometimes when you practice, easy when you change, you stand up a little bit. So like you raise up your body, your power getting weaker. So when you punch, instead stand up, you sink your balance, relax your whole body, and punch. Yeah? So whole body relax, then punch. And not going up, relax. Okay, so let's practice the routine together. Like we did the last time. So we're going to do on both sides. So first we're going to practice breathing in and breathing out. Clench your fist. Elbow strike. Yeah. Elbow back. Then marble. This time right hand block first. Right hand outside. And when you change, relax your hips. Then punch. Then 2. This time like snake. 半身突进 strike. 1. Same, when you kick, use your right hand, touch your right shoes. Yeah. 1. Then block or elbow, turn your body, then right hand block, left hand punch. Same. 1. Turn your body to the left, then to the right. Yeah? Like a yin yang. So up, left and right. Give you more strength. Okay, let's try 2 more times. Inhale, hands up. And exhale. Clench your fist. Elbow strike. 1. Marble, right hand outside. And relax and punch. Change the combo. So front leg bends, back leg straight. Strike, kick. Then turn left, then turn right. Inhale and exhale. And one more time. Inhale, hands up. And exhale. Clench your fist. 1, 2, punch. 3, kick. 4, block. Punch. Stop. Inhale, hands up. And exhale. So now we do exactly same movement but different direction. So start. So earlier we face this way, now we face different direction. Inhale, hands up. And exhale. Exactly same technique. Clench your face. This time, look to your right. Marble. Both leg bent. This time, left hand block. Left hand outside. Relax your hands. Then, punch your right hand. Earlier, punch your left hand. From here, same. Like a snake. Kick. Then block. Turn this time earlier turn left, this time turn right. Then turn left. Inhale, hands up. And exhale, hands down. 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale. Clench your face. Elbow strike. Then from here, marble. Left hand block. Left hand outside. Punch. 2. Block. Let's try it last time. Inhale. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's do 3 more breathing exercises. 2-foot one. Straight deep into it. Inhale, hands up. Breathing in, breath energy in to repair your body. Help your body recovering from exercise. Breathing out. Release the tension. Whole body relax. Last one. Breathing in. And breathing out. Whole body relax. Okay. Let's finish here.
Please like and subscribe so you can get more and more